We're constantly trying to teach our players that, hockey isn't everything. You guys have an unbelievable opportunity, obviously. You're some of the best players in the world. But at the end of the day, you have to be a good person before you can be a great player.
Welcome to Hockey Culture. I'm Anson Carter, where we try to change the culture of hockey one interview at a time. Today's guest, we have Rod Braceful joining us today. Rod's the Assistant Director of Player Personnel for the United States National Team Development Program. Rod, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm very familiar with the Detroit area, the Michigan area. I'm a Michigan State Spartan myself. You grew up in the D, we like to call it there in Michigan. How did you get involved in the game of hockey? Because I know from my time there at Michigan State that the Red Wings like to call it Hockey Town, but outside of actual downtown hockey where everyone plays in the suburbs, no one's really paying attention, at least when I was there, to the game of hockey in the inner city.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that. So I was fortunate enough. I started playing at a program in the inner city at Jack Adams Ice Arena. I kind of started playing because I had some close family members playing, as well as some close family friends. They were older than me. I tried to play and, I kind of fell in love with it. For me, I was playing other sports like baseball, basketball, soccer. When you're a younger kid, you're just trying to stay active. Your parents are just trying to get your coordination in and, see what you like. And for me, I would say at the first, I don't think it was something that I was like, I fell in love right away. I definitely thought it was different. It was cold, but, as I kept playing and as I continued to make friends and play for a few years, I then kind of developed my love for the game.
And what was the reaction from your parents? Because were they very supportive, really? Were they questioning, like, what were you thinking? What would your parents think? Because I know my parents are from the Caribbean, from Barbados, right? So the only place they saw ice was in their drinks. So when I asked them, can I play hockey? They're like, hockey? What's that? Even though we're living in Toronto, they know about the game. They didn't really see many black players playing it, so they thought it was kind of interesting why I wanted to play the game of hockey.
Yeah, my mom, I come from a single-parent home. My mom, she thought at first, maybe he'll try it, kind of see how it goes, and, maybe he likes it, maybe he doesn't. I don't think she really thought I would stick with it. She just tried to give me as many programs and introduce as many sports as possible. She had some close family friends and their kids were playing and their kids were older. So they were kind of starting to get serious. And I think the more they talked, my mom was kind of like, I'm not so sure if he'll do that. Like, nowadays there's not much house programs. Usually it's learn to skate. And if you end up sticking with the sport, you kind of get right into travel hockey nowadays. Back then it was a little bit easier. We had a house league. You went once on the weekend. You got to show up to the rink and play and then go along your way. And I think that, as I played for a few more years and as I saw the older players who I was close with, family friends with, I saw their passion and I actually thought, okay, wait a minute. I think that this is something that I can do. So I continued to play.
When did you start thinking about having a career in hockey? You went to New England College, you have a dual degree in sports and recreational management and also business administration. You're a player coach there. I spoke to Kelsey Kolzer recently, and she's got a degree in psychology from Princeton, and now she's a coach, and she's using that to her advantage. When did you start thinking about staying involved in the game and using your degrees, which I think are beneficial to what you're doing today?
Yeah, no, I saw that Kelsey, she's going to start coaching at, she's a head coach there at that program, and which is awesome. I think for me, when I was about 13, 14, 15 years old, I really started kind of dabbling in the AAA. And I would say that I was a little bit behind some of the other kids, but I made it an effort to continue to do my best and, kind of follow the landscape and do the things that were needed to see how far it can take me. I think at first it started just if I can get to college, great, because I'm going to go to college anyway. My mom's an educator and education's huge in our household. So I was going to school no matter what. So if I can do it and play hockey, it's icing on the cake. So I think as I kind of got into juniors, I kind of had some opportunities. I talked to some Division I coaches, and I had a couple injuries. And my whole thing was just getting to college somewhere where I can still have an impact and play, and going to school. The pro game wasn't something I thought about as I continued to get older. My whole thing was if I could still play, Division III or Division I in college and get a degree, it's still, the lottery to me from where I was coming from. I was fortunate enough to have, close friends who were Black that were continuing to play at a high level. And, I felt that them succeeding was kind of me succeeding as well because we were close. But for me, it was when I got to college, I played a couple of years and I kind of had some thoughts of, you know what, I think I could really make it in this game. So I wanted to kind of go all in, but it's tough because at that time, there was a lot of Division I schools who had volunteer coaches. So you can kind of go to a school, be a volunteer coach. They'll pay for your master's. The NCAA had a rule to be a head coach at the Division I university. You needed your college degree. And if you had a master's, it was a plus as well. So, I was kind of looking at those things early, but not many schools had a volunteer assistance because it was tough financially for their budgets. So I kind of tried to get a couple of Division I volunteer jobs, and it wasn't really an easy thing to do. So I had a conversation with my coach at New England College, which is, a weird situation when you're there for 2 years playing, and I didn't play much because of injuries and everything. And then we kind of started having a conversation of joining the staff. But I give him a lot of credit. He gave me an opportunity. The first year was just me kind of pushing pucks, feeling around, kind of seeing from the coach's perspective, right? Because I saw it from the player's perspective. And like any player, there was times that I thought I should have played more or other guys were playing too much. But that first year, it was good because it was really eye-opening for me. And I learned a lot, and you kind of appreciate things from the other side of it. And I was fortunate enough to kind of have some connections and talk with people like Jason Payne and Graham Townsend and guys like that who have already been through it. And I thought, you know what, maybe this is something that I can do.
So take me through your day-to-day. You're a coach in the Little Caesars and CompuWare program. Anyone that knows minor hockey in Michigan knows those are powerhouse minor hockey programs. You're a scout with Sioux Falls Stampede in USHL, director of scouting Muskegon. Let me know and educate me as to what you do your day-to-day, because I have no idea what the director of player personnel would do for the United States National Team Development Program. So please school me on what it takes and what your day-to-day is all about.
So my day-to-day now, I'm constantly, coming up with schedules and plans. I assist our director, our head director here with our two internal teams, our 17 and 18 team. Obviously, we have a 2-year program. It gets a little easier when the 17s are coming back for their 18 year because they've been through it. Usually that first year for the 17s, it becomes a lot. So we kind of helped, we recruit that team and we bring them in. So we kind of become, I would say, somewhat of big brothers because they have a coach, they have our academic, coordinator who helps them through school and stuff. So we kind of still keep tabs on them and make sure everything's going well. Because we've spent the past 2 years bringing them in and scouting the country for the best players at that age. And then I go out and, I look for not only the incoming evaluation year players, but also I try to get a head start on the age group that's 2 years out. So it's a 2-year process. So I'm constantly talking with, head coaches. When we find out players we like, we talk to school counselors. We talk with everyone, Division I colleges, but now the rules have changed a little bit, so that won't be the same. Family advisors contact us. But the biggest thing is we're looking for not only the best players, but we're looking for good people. Everybody wants to play in the National Hockey League, and we hope that we can produce the most, Americans to go to the National Hockey League from our program. But sometimes it doesn't always work as planned. So we're making sure we're bringing in good people so we can build a really good culture here.
Do parents ever give you a second look? I mean, you hold a pretty powerful position within USA Hockey and you were like one of the gatekeepers of these kids taking their talents and their ability to the next level. When you enter arena, you enter a room, they look at you any different because you are Black?
No, not now. I would say, going to your question earlier, when I worked in the USHL, it's not as, I would say, as glorified to the parents. The parents, have no clue. They go from Bantam hockey to midget hockey. They hear that, wait a minute, my kid can get drafted in the USHL. They don't know who's who. And there were times in that avenue where I was in the rinks or I'll be around, and there was a numerous of time I would have people come up to me, oh, excuse me, I'm just wondering, like, who do you work for? I see you everywhere. Like, are you an agent, or are you a scout? Like, what do so I got that more so back then. Now being here at the NTDP, I think it's pretty known. So it's, if anything, I get a lot of people just greeting me. And it's been good. I would say my time here has been good. When I worked in the USHL, it was great as well. It set me up to have success here in my job now, but it's hard. It's hard. It's a grind. And, there's a lot of players playing AAA these days. So you kind of have to make sure you're, keeping your eyes open and keeping your ears open as well, to making sure that you're being efficient and you're not just running around.
And junior hockey has taken a major hit in Canada. You're talking USHL and junior hockey here in the U.S. with all the stuff that's happened to the players, those negative things with the hazings over the years. A lot of negative publicity is happening in Canada. How can you police that here in the U.S. to make sure that doesn't happen within the USHL game?
Yeah, no, I think that there's been a lot of rules put in place over the last probably 15 to 20 years because of all these horror stories you're hearing. And it's really unfortunate. I think the game has changed. Obviously, the kids have changed. The kids are different than they were when you were playing, and they were different than when I was playing at the ages of 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. So I think that it's continuing to change. But I think in the game of hockey, the old saying of being a kid who is very talented but gives 0 Fs, those days are long gone. With social media, with so many things now, you could hear about a kid in Alaska and never see him, and you just know the name. So nowadays, if there's something negative about you, it sticks. It travels much further than it ever did, I think, in the past. I think that the game is changing. I think it should change a little bit quicker, and hopefully I could have some impact on that. I know us at the program, we're constantly trying to teach our players that, hockey isn't everything. You guys have an unbelievable opportunity, obviously. You're some of the best players in the world, but at the end of the day, you have to be a good person before you can be a great player.
And lastly, I want to ask you, you work with John Van Beesbrook. He was a huge ally. He pushed for you to get this job, the U.S. National Development Team program. And, the stories we've heard of Beezer and Trevor Daley back with Sault Ste. Marie years ago. Did you have a conversation with him about what happened with him and Daley? And if so, how did that go?
I would say not directly that incident, but of course we spoke privately. I think, in the world we live in today, there's a lot of people that have done things that, weren't right. And people make mistakes, and they, I'm not perfect. I would say that what he did was wrong, but of course, like, people try to learn from their mistakes and try to live the rest of their lives striving to become better. I think he's done that. Of course, there's, other people who have different opinions. He's been good to me, and my relationship with him has, it started in Muskegon, where, he didn't have to give me anything, and I had a job, somewhere else. But of course, me being who I am, I pushed a little bit to kind of see,
No, not you. No, not you.
Yeah. But you know what? People make mistakes, and no one's perfect. I'm no martyr. It's not for me to be here and say who's done right and who's done wrong, and who should do this and who should do that. The biggest thing, I think, in the game of hockey, from what I've seen being a kid and being where I am now, you just hope that it continues to grow, and we continue to not do the same things expecting different results, right? That's the definition of insanity. And I think that some of the things that are going on right now are good, and we're pushing forward to make it a more inclusive and better game.
Yeah, I'm a for second chances too. I don't think coaches realize, and I think they realize now, the impact of their words they have on kids. There's still some coaches I play for that I hate to this day, and I haven't put on skates in an organized game in years. So I think coaches are now starting to realize the impact they have. Yes, winning is important, but also helping to coach and create good citizens, I think it should be the priority when it comes to minor hockey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the next generation, they're the ones that are going to impact this world. All the efforts that are going on, even I think sometimes myself, whether it's a good day, bad day, or it's frustrating or not, hopefully I can inspire someone to be way better and do way better than I'm doing. I'm fortunate enough to have kind of conversations with the Paul Gerards, the Graham Townsends, the Jason Payne, even Jason McCrimmon, who's from Detroit, who I'm close with, just kind of getting a perspective from people who've done it before you. They hope for you to do well and pass them up. I hope to do the same.
Well, part of my job here at NBC Sports is NHL coverage, but also to be one of the voices for Notre Dame hockey and college hockey. So I'm so proud of what you're doing so far with USA Hockey. I've been watching your career as you developed from the USHL for minor hockey in Michigan, and you're taking those steps where people today want that microwave mentality. They want it now. Whereas I'm watching you and you're taking steps to eventually get to where you want to go. Would your final destination, is it fair to say, be the National Hockey League?
Absolutely. Fortunately enough, I wasn't a good enough player to ever make it there. But when I got into coaching and I got into hockey off the ice, I made a promise to myself to just kind of leave it all out there. I wanted to do it to not only help kids and make it a better sport, but obviously have impact. I've been fortunate enough to move from the USHL to the national program. And I just hope that I can continue to do a good job and get an opportunity with an NHL team when it's time. Timing's a big part of it too. As you know, you're a former player. Timing's everything. The biggest thing is just making sure you're ready when your name's called.
Well, if I'm watching, that means other people are watching too. So continue to do good work. We watch you develop these kids, that United States program. It's one of those top programs in the world as you guys keep pumping out elite prospect after elite prospect. So I just want to say thank you, Rod. I appreciate you taking your time for joining us on Hockey Culture, and we'll be watching.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.